What up, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of the Corner Podcast, episode one, Corner Podcast and Friends on the new Patreon. Shout out to everyone in the Corner Club. Producer Cole, baby, is here helping me run the show today. You're going to supply a little sprinkle of hot takes in here with
Uh-oh.
me. So we are really relying on you guys to keep the show calm, as the old man usually would. Shout out to him. I'd be remiss if I didn't say him, Big E, Johnny were in LA NAACP Awards for Bridges. That was really dope. They had a blast. Check out his socials if you want to see them in matching suits, which kudos to whoever designed those suits and tailored them because all three guys are built very differently. So,
That's true.
so
That's a good
whoever
point. I didn't
did,
even consider that.
whoever did that is a wizard with the sewing machine. So that was great custom suits over there, everyone looking fly. So that's why the old man isn't present for episode one of this. But don't worry about it. The Corner Club is holding it down. First person in, Andre Canty from the Corner Club, joining us. And we're talking wrestling throughout this whole damn show. So it's great to be able to, one, chop it up with everyone in the Corner Club and Andre specifically. But I didn't get two wrestling shows this week because so much is happening. AEW is going on, new signings. We know somebody debuted in AEW. It low key broke my heart this week.
Oh,
Like I love seeing her there, but and that's I guess for the show later on in the week. Bay whenever she appears somewhere, I got to show support. But they didn't do right by
his,
her.
his,
They didn't do it.
I mean, his heart was left with Sasha Banks.
That's no. Listen, I like New Japan
Uh-huh.
money, boom, boom, but like
Sure.
what? Fine. This wasn't it, Cole. I didn't know this person. The wig I recognized, the aura was there. There was a viral clip. She's getting in the ring. She does a little bounce. That went everywhere. But as soon as she got in the ring, it just wasn't. It didn't hit like I needed to hit. So me and Tony have to have a conversation. Outside of that, though, I look forward to see what she does going forward. But we're gonna kick off this show talking about Mania because we have The Rock cutting 8-minute promos like like it's 1999 again,
Uh-huh.
just dominating the mic. We have Roman Reigns and the wise man Paul Heyman shooting him dirty looks during segments. Cody Rhodes is trying to finish his story, which everyone besides Dolph Ziggler seems to appreciate, or Nick Nemeth, which he ended up crushing Cody this week. It's like, what is his story? So it's one of those things where there's so many different storylines playing out. And Andre, this is where I want you to lead us off. How have you been enjoying the build for this WrestleMania? Is it too convoluted? Is it just right? Is it making sense? Did they save the bloodline story? Because for a second it was getting a little stale. It wasn't the bloodline story from last year to this year. How are you feeling about the build to WrestleMania 40?
Yeah, I think so far, man, I like it. I mean, I think somewhere in the middle. I think in the beginning, I think in my opinion, I think it was going to be The Rock and Cody Rhodes, and I think the build up like had so much backlash they wanted like to swerve, right? And I think it was time also for The Rock to fully become like a heel like he used to be. I mean, being like on the board of TKO, at this point he's just like those highest paid like actor, right? Like
Yeah,
Hollywood Rock back in like 2003, 2004 is way different from the Hollywood Rock as of like 2024. So it's kind of like a combination of like the corporate rock from like way back in the day and like Hollywood, right? So it's like, I mean, shout out to Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball. It's kind of like that fusion dance, right?
Yeah.
Hollywood rock and corporate rock, right? So that's good, right? And I think, yeah, the bloodline needed like a shot, like a shot, like excitement, right? Because, I mean, in my opinion, again, the bloodline. I mean, in my lifetime, people can speak, before them, but it's probably one of the best storylines, not the best storyline, like in pro wrestling, right? It's between that. I was a kid, but the twin referee like angle with Ted
yeah.
DiBiase and Andre the Giant. I mean, it's kind of up there, right? So I just think that, and I mean, pro wrestling. I mean, y'all cover it, right? Pro wrestling is all about like catharsis, right? So I think with everything that's going on, I think they want to put all the stakes in play with Cody Rhodes. So that's why I think I mean, hopefully he'll win, right? I think this is where like the catharsis will kind of come into play, right? Because if he doesn't win, then then now what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So I think all of that come into play. The tag team, I think is a good build, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we're at that point where, like you mentioned, like it was close to getting stale if it wasn't stale with the bloodline. And this whole thing, and me, Cole, Drave talked about it before. This whole saga and how it would be remembered is the bloodline saga. Cody's great. And yes, he is finishing a story, but this story is in the book of the bloodline.
Yeah.
This past 4 years, if there's an attitude era, there's ruthless aggression. This is the bloodline era. When we look back 10, 20 years from now, they will call it the bloodline era. When Roman Reigns came back from cancer and beat the hell out of Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, and took him out and got that title and hasn't lost it since, and is one of the most longest reigning champions of all time. And all of this will just be known as the bloodline era. And main event Jay and Jimmy and all this stuff. This will play into that. And I think with The Rock going heel, and Cole could talk to this, that turn in that crowd is the best thing that could ever happen to him. And WWE lucks into these things so much. Because I think the best builds, when you were mentioning, like, of my recent era, Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania, organic, and the crowd took that and they leaned into it. Kofi Mania, crowd took that, they leaned into it, wasn't supposed to happen. And this is one of those things where we knew Cody and Roman were supposed to be the thing, but it was too telegraphed. And I was like, damn, we're just going to get there. So with The Rock coming in and Cody giving it up, which made no damn sense, but that was a perfect mistake because now you added heel Rock and everything else. And when, to me, this was supposed to be the end of the bloodline era, and I don't think it is. I think if you plan it right and you have Rock and Roman leave Mania with a divide, now that carries on to next year, no title. And it's the true end of the bloodline era where you have who's the tribal chief. And that's all it started with. I'm the tribal chief. And getting Paul Heyman as the wise man. And you finally find out. And it always had to end this way. It always had to end Rock versus Roman. And you were able to put over a megastar or your next megastar in Cody, but get to the final destination how it should have been anyway. So I think this bloodline saga, thankfully, because they would have rushed it. It would have been Rock Roman this year, and then Cody would have had to go again next year, and you would have drug it out, and it would have been like, what a shitty storytelling. Like, it would have been the final season of Walking Dead, right? Or yeah, it's just one of those things, and it's one of those like, do we need this? Like, shit kind of goes weird at the end, right? And it would have felt like that, but now it feels like a natural, cohesive storyline if they get friction now and Rock comes back next year. So I think it low-key saved the bloodline story.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point with The Rock kind of injecting life into the feud, right? Because I think for all intents and purposes, like there's so many in my brain, there's so many ways I go about the bloodline story and getting kind of trapped in the idea of like, well, they kind of already had the, going back to last year's Rumble, when finally Sammy had swerved on Roman, and that kind of, the whole Jay scene, and like that was like the peak of everything bloodline to me, of like, oh man, this is like the ball is rolling, here we go. And you kind of go back to that, and I think it was easy for us to kind of imagine like the bloodline era, as you say, Kel, kind of ending with Cody Rhodes winning it, right? Now you have The Rock in here, which has been kind of put in here behest of storytelling means, right? And like this could have gone so much more sideways than we really think. And I think that's the biggest thing here, is that Rock bought in. Rock bought into being the bad guy, going Hollywood Rock, or go doing the Dragon Ball Z like Rock version that we've got. I do say I wish, if we were really going to go heel Rock, he would have brought back the black shirt he had on in the 90s from like when he tore something.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Allegedly. People said he just went over cosmetic surgery to get pecs implanted because he had no
Scorpion
pec
King.
muscle. Yeah.
And the
So,
Scorpion King was coming up.
whatever way you want to believe it.
Whatever it was, I wish you just brought it back just for the memes. I mean, we love fanny pack rock so much. But yeah, I mean, the fact that he bought into this and going like, okay, you know what? I do have to play bad guy here. And it was kind of a rocky start, to no pun intended, of like, his first promo was kind of rough, but now he's starting to kind of get back in the groove. They're putting all the production behind it to turn him into heel rock. So I think by having that buy-in, you have created a scenario where there is a bloodline era past this WrestleMania, and it doesn't have to include Cody Rhodes, which is great. So Cody can kind of begin ushering in under the circumstances that he wins, unless this is going to go crazy New Japan, which at this point, I don't know what else they could do with Cody, like not having the title, because he's already like done all the video game side quests. He can't get any more powerful,
No.
There's no more leveling up. So you have a scenario where you have the Cody Rhodes kind of championship era kind of coming in while Roman deals with the dissolution of the bloodline. And you have both of those as basically your main events for the next WrestleMania. So I think this is really a credit to a situation where corporate comes in and goes, we want The Rock. We got to get rid of all the Vince talk. We've got to get people talking about anything else. Rock, you're on the board. We've given you your name back. Like, take the ball and run. And in a perfect scenario, I can't imagine The Rock was like, yeah, I want to come back a bad guy. No, he wanted to come back and be the main event guy. He wanted this. He would have wanted this main event to be Roman versus Rock, but the story didn't call for that. And thankfully, fans were listened to. And I think The Rock buying into this and deciding like, you know what? Sure, I'll go cut 45-minute promos on Twitter. That's fine. Cool. You know what? I'll be crazy. Let's do it. So, I do agree. I think you both have great points here where it has injected life into this that may have been really kind of struggling up to this point.
Yeah, and Rock didn't have to do that.
No.
Right? Like at this point, he could have done whatever the hell he wanted to. Could have told the Cody Crybaby, shut up. And I'm main eventing night 2 against Roman.
I'm on the board. Put the foot down. Exactly.
That's it. So I mean, he pivoted when he didn't have to. And then that makes me give my next question to you, Andre. And I'll go through this, but in your head right now, what was your most enjoyable WrestleMania?
Well, most enjoyable WrestleMania. Well, you kind of mentioned like as far as like the most impactful stories and Kofi Mania being one of them. It was Kofi Mania because that was my first Mania like ever, right? So yeah, that was my first one. Of course, I was right before the pandemic.
Boy,
right
that was a marathon of a Mania too. That was like 9 hours.
Yeah, I was not aware. Yeah, and then like afterwards, like all the rain and stuff, and then all the Ubers and then all the surge pricing. I mean, it was worth it though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was so I definitely say a WrestleMania 35 and seeing Kofi Mania. Now again, I mean, as far as like age, I mean, I just turned 39 yesterday, right? So like even like me as
What? Happy birthday. What? Look at this greatness out here.
Yeah, no, man. So even in my age, man, like, like as far as like me being a kid again and just seeing like this Kofi just winning it and that so much impact, man. Like,
Yeah.
damn, man, like I'm leaning into it, right? So I think that, and Becky winning, right? I think 35 is but it's more historic than like people would kind of think, right? Even though with the length, right? So I think even with the length, like it's historic because people start to shift. Well, let's cut it up. Let's cut this WrestleMania up, right? So I think all those kinds of things, right? So I think just personally that, I mean, of course, I think 17 is probably like the best Mania of all time, right? Just like as a consumer, but for somebody just as a participant, as an attendee, it's WrestleMania 35 for me.
That makes, and I was glad you mentioned that. WrestleMania X7. That's usually the consensus for the best WrestleMania ever.
Yeah.
The Rock has been saying that this is the greatest WrestleMania ever. Coming up, WrestleMania 40. We're getting more and more of the matches and the builds. What if I told you I don't think he's crazy? And I don't even have to see a match yet.
Go on.
I think WrestleMania 40 on paper already It's the greatest WrestleMania card ever. Even better than WrestleMania X7. So, Cole, pull up WrestleMania X7 for me if you can.
Will do.
I have WrestleMania 40 in front of me. So, we know the two main events. And I know those WrestleMania cards were shorter. They were one night, different eras. Still, top to bottom, we have Io Sky versus Bayley is a women's championship match. Women's wrestling at WrestleMania X7 is not what women's wrestling is right now. Not even a comparison to what they were doing. So Io Sky versus Bayley, storytelling, what it means, Bayley going full babyface again. If we get the wacky wave, come on. Then Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. Becky, the most over character the WWE has built in terms of babyface, probably the past 5-10 years. Like just the man organically getting over. Amazing. Rhea Ripley, 27. This is like her time to put her stamp on it, carrying the Judgment Day. Gunther versus Sami Zayn, which could still add somebody, but that just on paper is an indie wrestling fan's dream. Then Judgment Day, Damian Priest, people like, oh, that's a shitty like tag team. It's like, oh no, what we're gonna do? Throw a ladder in the ring. So now it's a 6-pack challenge, them versus 5 tag teams. You know, people are gonna do some crazy shit. The Legado del Fantasma is jumping over off of everything. Then LA Knight versus AJ Styles, just in case you're a TNA fan. And they were like, you know what? You want to see what TNA looks like on the big screen at the showcase of the Immortals? We'll give you AJ Styles, who's top 5 wrestler in the past 20 years, versus LA Knight, who was also great in TNA. Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso, which someone the other day compared to Bret versus Owen Hart in terms of a brother blood feud rivalry. It's not going to be that in the ring, Cole. Don't kill people. I'm just a messenger. But I understand the build and the feeling behind it. Brother versus brother. And then Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, which might be the weakest match out of all of them I just named. Oh, and by the way, then we have The Rock in a tag team match coming back, standing alongside Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth freaking Rollins. And then they both wrestle again the next night. Seth versus Drew, Roman versus Cody. I don't know if another WrestleMania card has been this good top to bottom already. What were the matches opening up WrestleMania X7, Cole?
I mean, let me tell you, there's a lot of, I think as far as X7 goes, we're going to preface this before we get into it, because your point is going to be made just based off of on paper.
There's some fluff.
There's some fluff on this card. However, the X7 high moments are crazy. And I think that's why X7 ends up being always regarded as one of the best main. And of course, you have Stone Cold. Was 18 or 17 the one that had the Stone Cold Rock promo, the My Way Limp Bizkit promo? Was it X7?
I think it was the first one.
X7. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, okay. So let's just go down for shits and giggles, the card. Your first match was X Factor, which was X-Pac and Just Incredible with Albert defeating Steve Blackman and Grandmaster Sexay. And we had Chris Jericho beating William Regal. Then we had Taz and the APA. And they beat Right to Censor. Oh, God, Right to Censor.
God, that was all bad.
Val Venus and Right to Censor.
It's amazing. Val Venus is actually the guy from Right to Censor. Like, that was his real gimmick. It wasn't the porn star gimmick. Like, This was him being real. Who knew?
We have Kane defeating Raven for the defeating Raven and Big Show for the Hardcore Championship. Missed that belt. Eddie Guerrero defeated Test for the European Championship, another belt that I really miss. Funny story, one of my best friends like had to buy a replica European title and now just has it in his house. It's great.
He was well before his time.
Oh, it's great. It's just like, what's the one title you really just kind of need as a collector's item? That's the one. Kurt Angle defeated he who shall not be named, but we'll name him on this podcast, Chris Benoit. Speaking of your women's wrestling,
we have one really good match so far.
China defeated Ivory, and that's it. We have, oh God, I remember this match. Shane McMahon with Linda in the corner, defeating Mr. McMahon with Stephanie McMahon and Trish Stratus in a street fight with Mick Foley as special guest referee. That's just a match of memes right there.
Yep.
I remember that match. Oh my God. Then of
No,
course,
wasn't Linda in a wheelchair?
I believe, yeah, Linda
I
like
think she
couldn't
got like out of
move.
the wheelchair. Yeah.
Right. And like she was like, man,
Yeah.
it was,
And Vince was real creepy, touching Trish and shit,
I
like in
mean,
front of her.
that,
We should have known. Yeah.
Mr. McMahon shit. Then you have the fabled Edge Christian defeat the Dudley Boys, defeat the Hardy Boys, the ladder match,
The match. Yeah.
the ladder match to end all ladder matches. Then gimmick battle royal. You have the Iron Sheik one on this card, guys.
Cheeky baby.
One by last eliminating old Billy Jim. Take that, Hulk. And you have Undertaker beating Triple H, which I believe Triple H came out with Motorhead. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated The Rock in a no DQ match for the WWF Championship. And there's your card. Your card you bring up a good point on paper.
It doesn't hold a candle to what this card is going to be. Like they'd have to really drop the ball something serious. I don't even care what The Rock looks like in the ring. And it's better than, no disrespect, rolling the Sheik out at X7. So it's one of those things where The Rock's not crazy, in my opinion. This could be the best WrestleMania ever. And I think this is the first. I know last year was technically the first, but this is where Trips gets a full build. And, Vince McMahon not hopping in and out like it's double Dutch. So it's one of those things where let's see how they deliver. I want to get your thoughts, Andre, before, we switch over and get our next guest in here and everything. On the card itself, then, what match are you looking forward to the most? Out of all that are announced already, which one are you like, that's the one I want to see?
Yeah, I think at the very top. I think it's like Cody versus Roman. I think again, go back to catharsis, right? I think it has the end. Now, personally, also like I'm from Knoxville, so like I want to see like what Bianca's doing as well. So we go way back. When I mean like going back, Kill, like Bianca played ball with my sister back in Knoxville, Tennessee. So like
Oh
Wow.
it's like home. Like, yeah, we go way, way back, you know what I mean? So like she know my sister more. She played basketball. I'm like the big brother, right? So yes, we all behind like Bianca. So he's not with Bianca. So I'm just personally I'm interested like what she doing right. But of course, yes, it's Roman and Cody, man. Gotta finish the story and then hopefully, they'll carry on because y'all know when a babyface wins, kind of like the interest kind of like wanes.
Yeah.
Fuse and stuff, right? So hopefully the energy will like keep on depending on like robberies and feuds and matches. But I think at the top, I think Cody versus Roman. And first, like, hometown girl, man. Hopefully she do something, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bianca's about to have a banger of a match for those tag team titles. Like they're building out a great story quickly behind it of supporting Bailey and like, no, I don't really mess with her. But I think, Naomi's gonna get her on board. And those two versus, Asuka and Io Saiyans, that's gonna be nuts. Nuts. So Kyrie Sane's gonna do like insane elbow. Bianca's gonna catch that shit and like turn into a KOD. It's again on paper. There's so much talent, right? Like Bianca's so good. We don't even know if Jade Cargill's gonna be on the card. She was just in the Rumble and just disappeared. So like, do we get a Jade Cargill sighting? Did Tiffany Stratton's hit the ground 1,000,000 mph running? So the women may have their own like little battle royal or something on the pre-show. The men, they want a meaty man battle royal. Shout out to Big E, just a bunch of big men slap meat, and yeah, that could be on the pre-show. There's so much talent now, so it's a little hard to compare it to those early cards. But yeah, we're getting to that point where on paper, stacked on paper.
There's certainly a lot less of, I mean, you could tell the Vince booking, right, of throwing all the shit at the wall and seeing kind of what sticks, right? And when it hits, it hits. And when it doesn't, it's very confusing. So, and especially looking back on it, it's, it's hard to kind of put ourselves back in those shoes again, because I'm sure some of it made more sense back then than it does now. But
Maybe.
maybe. But I think there's just especially on this card, as far as like the wrestling is concerned, there's just work rate up and down the card. It's just going to be people who are just going to be going crazy. So yeah, I think
No,
you make a very good argument for it, and we still have yet to see even more of the card.
agreed. And then last thing, question for you, Andre. If you had to pick, we were throwing on the futuristic goggles here. Every year
Uh-oh.
someone leaves Mania and takes off and becomes the star of next year's Mania. They become bigger. Like the year before, no one knew Sami Zayn coming out of a Johnny Knoxville match was going to be what Sami Zayn was by the time we got to last year's Mania with Kevin Owens, and he's one of the most over guys in the company, right? Like this year, as good as Cody was, people were like, "Oh, he should have finished the story. You ruined Cody Rhodes." All this stuff, and he's bigger than ever right now coming into this year, bigger than he ever was last year because people wanted Sami Zayn in that match. Between now and next year, who do you think really really takes it to the next level and is the star of next year's WrestleMania? They don't have to be in the main
Yeah,
title picture or anything like, but they're just one of the biggest stars coming into next year's Mania.
right. I think it's funny too, because like Johnny Knoxville also like he's an older classmate of mine. So like this whole Knoxville small. He went to my high school back '89.
I
But
feel like there's one high school in all of
like,
Tennessee now. Like everybody goes to the same high school.
I know, man. Like based on odds, like we want only one, right? I would say, I don't know. I think like throw a wild card out there, man. I think like the redemption of Bailey, is going to be like hot. I think because, she came out. I mean, when she came out, it's probably like a baby face, right? She was kind of. It's kind of like where Bianca is now. It's probably being like a huge, super duper like baby face, right? So I think the redemption story, like her coming back after being like a heel for so long. I don't know. I just kind of see like her just that redemption story, her being like a full baby face. I don't know how that gimmick's going to work in like today's world, right? But I don't know. There's a way to put that out there to where like she could be the main star. I think as far as her rise, as far as the four horsewomen, I
Yeah.
think it's as far as her being like the like that person, right? Because everybody else had it. Charlotte had it. Of course Becky had it, right? So I think it's time for her like to really shine. Yeah.
No, I think that's one hell of a pick. I think if they plan it right, when she came up from NXT, people were like, "Oh, she's gonna be John Cena, but for women." Like they thought she had that level of baby face, and then Vince shot her to the moon and took the teeth out of the gimmick, and it sucked. So it's one of those things where now maybe she can get that gimmick over and do it the right way. Cole, before we let Andre out of here, who's your person? Let's throw that out there.
This is tough. Um,
Cole's always so thoughtful.
just looking at it. I'm going
Mine
to
is
say,
easy. Mine is easy.
I mean, and we might be on the same wavelength here, maybe, but
Maybe.
I'm gonna say it's Gunther. To me,
We're in the same.
because I think, to me, what makes as much sense as anything is to shoot that dude to the moon next, right? And obviously, this Intercontinental run has been incredible. He's basically the only reason that people have had to go like he can't be in a main event with the Bloodline guys or Cody is because he's got the belt. He's got a belt that he's defending.
Yeah.
So he is personally like taken that belt and shot it to the moon. Once they take the belt off, then it's all hands on deck, because there's only one place where that guy can go and one place only. And I think there's easily a roadmap here where we can set up Gunther Cody at Mania next year. So, yeah, I think, and especially because I mean, I want to save my prediction for what's going to happen to Gunther on WrestleMania night, but I have a good idea of what they're going to do as far as how they're going to get Gunther basically in the main event picture. So I see the map. I see the pathway. I think it's all bets are off for Gunther.
Oh man, I love it. The tease of the wild cold
I can't
booking.
we're not predicting WrestleMania yet. I can't
not
get
yet. Not yet. But no, yeah, I agree. I feel like we're on the same wavelength. Next year I can predict Cody's still gonna have the belt, and Gunther's gonna break his back like Bane did Batman. Like it's gonna be that level of heel just crushing little kids' souls. It's gonna look like The Dark Knight Rises. Like, and Gunther is gonna be that super bad, like big bad in WWE, and he deserves it. It's shitty because Brock Lesnar may be a very shitty person, it appears, or partake in some very questionable actions behind the scenes in WWE. But and it's kind of Vince's fault too. He should have fed Brock to Gunther when he had the chance, because that's something that could have put him over exponentially. And I think Brock working almost last year at Mania. I was like, really? He couldn't have wrestled Gunther last year at Mania? Gunther had a banger of a match, probably the best match all weekend. But it's still one of those things like SummerSlam. There was time, and Vince just didn't pull the trigger. So that was stupid and shitty. And Trips didn't either necessarily in time. And now that moment has passed, but I can't wait to see how he builds. Andre, man, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. We're going to have these shows like monthly, so I'm having you on again. And next time we got to chop it up about MMA. So I'm going to try to plan it around you being on again for UFC 302 here in Vegas. So it's like the end of June, International Fight Week. Try to get you on so we could talk about that card. Fingers crossed, either it's John Jones main eventing or the return of Conor McGregor. So let's see how they build that out. But I want to have you back on. Appreciate it, my man. Thank you for taking time out on Sunday. And thank you for being on Patreon, man, and supporting. It really means a lot.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, that quick shout out to Andre for joining us, but we're turning it around. EJ Reed joining us again, another Corner Club member, my guy. Even though I don't know how to email people, apparently, so people can't join this call correctly, EJ found his way in. So that is great. EJ, man, I was prepared to keep rolling pro wrestling, but even you joining the call and just chopping it up, you're like, yo, I'm ready for everything. So it's like, let's do it. Let's bounce around. So much is happening in the landscape of combat in general. EJ, I figure like we're starting with what feels like a pro wrestling promotion, but unfortunately the shit isn't. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. It feels like someone is booking this because it can't be real, right? Like, we know Ryan has a history of mental illness and he's taking time away and he's been vocal and he's been trying to help himself with it. It seems like this is too over the top for this shit not to be scripted and part of his promotion. Because if it's real, it's scary.
Very scary, especially getting this close to the fight. Like you said, mental illness is real, but I don't know, man. You don't want to go into a fight if you do have like those mental demons in there, because this you don't play boxing. You can get knocked out really quickly if you're not focused in and locked in on it. But I don't know, man. This has been the whole circus. You got the two fathers going back and forth, the nappy hair comment and whatnot, and then yeah, and then you got Adrian Broner that stepped in the chat room for some reason with the Alicia Bumgarner stuff. Like, what is going on with this?
Boxing has lost its damn mind. But in between the ropes, it's one of those things where like he gotta deliver. But it seems like now Broner's Broner. So Broner's gonna say some wild shit. Like that's just what he does, right? Like that's Adrian Broner's MO. But it comes down to Ryan Garcia yesterday. It's just like, yo, they want me to do a mental health exam in New York to clear me for this fight. And he's like, I'm gonna sue if they make me do this. Like, I think you kind of need it because no one, and I'm not the biggest fan of like the New York State Commission. It's ridiculous, some of their rules, but no one on his team is helping this kid. Like, how about we just get you checked out real quick? Because if we do have to pull you, another fighter should have some time. They got like a month to get ready for the fight. Shakur Stevenson said he'll step in and challenge for the title if Ryan can't go. I think Ryan needs to put to bed like some of these wild ass conspiracy theory claims, and he was in the woods and he had to watch like kids getting fought. I can't even keep up with him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion how this fight is going to end, whether or not if he was already mentally there or not. I mean, Devin Haney is a magician in there. I mean, not known for his knockout power, but he schools people in there, and I don't think it's going to be competitive. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for the mess, man. Keep it coming. I mean, it's already out there.
It's entertaining, if anything, at
Yeah,
least from the outside looking in.
Yeah, Yeah, like Kel said, it's all sports entertainment, man. They took a page out of WWE's book, but we'll be getting into a little bit. But I'm here for the mess, man.
All right, if you're here for it, I gotta know. If we're getting crazy, we gotta get real crazy. Tyson have a chance against Jake Paul.
If it's not scripted, then he doesn't have a chance. But
It's a fair point.
They said the script is out there. Listen, Tyson is 57 going on 58 years old. People sleep on Jake Paul. The kid's got skills. If you looked at his past, he fought a can 2 weeks ago, but still, I mean, he's beaten MMA people that know how to strike. And people sleep on the kid, but he's got some skills. And, you know, if I think it's how it's going to go, I think Jake Paul will go in there and get it done, which people hate to hear me say, but I mean, Tyson, people are talking about Tyson from like 80s and the 90s.
Right.
Like, Father Time is undefeated, you know?
And that's 35 years ago.
35 years ago, yeah.
It's my age ago. Like, I'm 35 now. It's my age ago. Like,
I'm 35 as well. So yeah, it's not the same Tyson.
Nah.
I mean, anybody can hit pads. Like, he looked great hitting the pads, but it's not a live person in there, you know?
I tell people that same thing. Like, I was like, yo, you could take an NBA player who was good 80s and 90s, put him in the gym now, they'll hit every jump shot. You put him in the empty gym, every jump shot. And you'd be like, yo, we're running full court against this college team. They're dead. Like, they can't play defense and run up and down the court. Like, that is what it is with Tyson in these videos. Like, yes, he's just in there and you can do that because it's the muscle memory and you're still good. Like, they can shoot the lights out the gym. But if you got to go full court competitively, your body just can't keep up. People don't seem to realize this. I'm with you, though. I think Jake knocks out Mike Tyson. If it's a real fight, he knocks him out. Because I saw what he did to Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva today is a better boxer than Mike Tyson. Like, he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which isn't saying much. I get it. But the guy was a boxer and apparently not on cocaine during the point in which they fought. And Anderson Silva schooled him. Silva can compete still. Like, he was not far removed from fighting Adesanya and MMA and all these. Like, he had legit competitions within the past 5 years and then fought Jake Paul. Tyron Woodley was a champion in the UFC. Champion. Got starched. Mike Tyson's last pro fight was a knockout defeat to some guy none of us know his name. So it's one of those things. Mike Tyson wasn't even good the last time we see him fight. The Roy Jones fight was different. Roy wasn't great. So people are just, again, living off that nostalgia. But it's funny in boxing, as much as people complain about the YouTubers and the Jake Paul and everything, now everyone else is trying to be that with the Ryan Garcia stuff and just how the builds are going. Last boxing question, then we'll kind of go to MMA here in a second. But is Canelo ducking Benavidez?
Oh, definitely. David Benavidez is a monster. And 168.
Yeah.
I'd duck him too.
Now he's moving up to 175 because the WBC was like, yo, listen, we're not going to make Canelo fight you. But if you go up, we'll make you the number one contender for whoever the hell's up there. And Benavidez was like, well, I guess, fuck it. Undisputed is undisputed.
Like, he's duck. It's a duck. It's a duck at this point. Because David Benavidez is that monster. He's that guy, man. And, like, if you're Canelo, I don't blame you. I mean, Canelo, he's, like, kind of in the he's not prime Canelo, but he's still high level. But how could you not fight David? That's the fight to make. You know,
some would say there's nothing.
Yeah.
Some would say there's nothing to gain from that. Like, one thing when we have Leonard on our show all the time, Leonard is keenly aware and he'd be like, yo, just show me your books. Like, you say this person's worthy of fighting Floyd or fighting Tank. Sit down at the table with me. Show me your books. Open up. Show me how many pay-per-views he sold. Show me what his gate was for his past top 5 fights. And I will give you a number for him to fight against my fight because I can show you our books. And when you're at Canelo's level, none of those books are going to match up. So it's either I'm going to fight someone and give them the biggest opportunity of their career, or I'm going to do something, one, safe for me so I can keep collecting checks, or two, something historic for me, like he went up against Dimitri Bivol and lost. But Bivol is going to fight Better BF. There's going to be an undisputed champion. If Bivol wins that, Canelo might be like, I'm going right up there. I need my rematch. But if he loses to Benavidez before then, that shit's out the window. So Canelo has I think Canelo is being strategic, much like Floyd is being strategic. And I think he will fight Benavidez, but he's waiting for Dimitri Bivol kind of. Because if Bivol becomes undisputed, Canelo's like, we're running that back.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. I need to be a two-weight undisputed champion. That's my easiest way. I'm going to wait for him. If Better BF knocks Bivol out, like he's done every other opponent in his professional career, then this shit's all for nothing. Canelo can maybe fight Benavidez in September. But until then, Canelo's like, yo, chill. You just fight someone easy, see how this shit plays out. I don't think it's a duck. I also don't think this is great for Canelo. Because if you're 35 fighting a 29-year-old David Benavidez, just entering his prime, and you're getting older, it's going to look ugly. So I fight him now. And it might be too late now. Should have fought him 2 years ago.
I think it's too late now.
Yeah.
I think Benavidez, he's gonna make it look easy. It's not gonna look competitive against Canelo. It's still Canelo. I'm not gonna disrespect.
It'll be
Canelo
competitive
like
now. In 2 years, it won't.
Yeah.
Canelo will go out on his back. It'll be ugly. Highlight reel. Like you're putting the kid over.
He's a pressure fighter too. He's a zombie in there, Benavidez. He's gonna keep pushing forward and he's gonna make Canelo feel that pressure. But I hope they do make it happen in September, like you said.
Yeah. September, if Bivol loses to Bitter BF, I think it'll be the fight. If Bivol wins, we're not seeing that for another year and a half.
Yeah, it's just tricky too, because Canelo really, like the last year and a half, 2 years, it's like he's been chasing, right? Like he still had goals that he's been trying to attain and go after things, right? And it's such a different perspective change now for Canelo, where now it's everyone's chasing him and they've all caught up and they're all here and they're all like, well, I've sat in the queue, I've been in line, I'm here. And now all of a sudden you can bring the ducking allegations to him because he's not really going for an active goal right now. You know, it's really just kind of status quo and people are lining up to fight him. So, you know, it's he's in such different shoes now than really he has been in his entire career.
Yeah, he always had a goal to chase. He always had like a new division to conquer, and they always moved aside to let him do so. Even Benavidez was just like, I'll fight Caleb Plant. I'll fight. Like, he was just taking fights because they're like, yo, Canelo's going to fight every champion in this division in a calendar year, collect all the belts, and you guys just got to wait. And mandatories were just stepping aside. And then now it's like, yo, I'm still the mandatory. I've been a mandatory for 2 years. But yeah, something's got to give. So it's going to be interesting. He has to fight him sooner or later. But the later you wait, the uglier it's going to get. And we can actually switch to MMA because I want to hit everything. MMA, Tai Tuivasa. Ty's my guy. We're taking the shoey on this show. It might be over for Ty. Ty drinks a lot. Ty likes to party. I don't know if he can be at a UFC level doing that, but if he goes to PFL, he can fight for like another 10 years.
I mean, early on in the fight, he looked good. He caught him with the elbows, and I'm like, oh, he's about to get this guy out of there. Tabura got the takedown.
No ground game.
Yeah, no ground game. He had that choke on for what, like a minute?
Yeah.
It was long. Yeah. I didn't think he was going to get it. I thought his arms were going to burn out, but Ty went out on his shield, I guess, and Herb.
He's always exciting, and that's why they pay him. Always exciting. I mean, that's another main event spot, and he'll keep getting it. They keep having fights in New Zealand and Australia. They'll put him on every single one of those.
Hey, he was front row at the pay-per-view in Perth.
He was.
He was. Yeah, he was.
So clearly TKO has the idea that like Tuivasa is someone that they can put out there and promote.
But I mean, taking a shoey with a pro wrestler 3 weeks before you fight is probably not advisable. But it is what it is. If I'm his trainers, I'll be like, maybe next time, like, just wait. Let's implement the high five, something normal where we don't have to drink during training camp. Before that, though, and just clearly got to get your opinion on this because it's the top name in MMA right now. Sean O'Malley. Sugar Show won, beat the hell out of Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera's tough. He ate that knee. I was telling Dre, like that shit looked like a V trigger from Kenny Omega. Like it didn't look real. Like it looked like, and the sound of it is like the thigh slap in pro wrestling. Boom. Like I was looking like, no way that's real. And he just ate that shit and kept going. He's never been dropped.
That dude could take a moving truck to the face on a highway and still be standing. That truck would go over. He'd be fine though.
Like it's nothing. And the biggest question is, and this is what I need you to answer, EJ, what's next for Sean O'Malley? Does he move up? And is it Ilya in Spain? Or is it him versus Merab? And which is probably as good as Ilya is, and he's great and that power is incredible. It's a tougher matchup fighting Merab at 35 than it is moving up to 45 fighting.
When we were talking about the boxing, we were talking about ducks. If he doesn't fight Merab, he's ducking. That's the fight to make. Because I mean, I'm tired of people trying to do these super fights when you haven't cleared out your division. Like it's getting ridiculous at this point. And I think he gets smoked by Ilya Tapira as well. So I mean,
it's the end of the Sugar Show in your mind.
Damn if you do, damn if you don't. So, but you got to face Merab, and I think Merab goes in there, that cardio, 5 rounds, just takedown. But I don't want to disrespect Sean O'Malley because he's got the striking ability where he could catch Merab and put him to sleep. But I see Merab just wiping the floor with him.
It's interesting because you mentioned like, oh, you're tired of people chasing the super fights. But as like a boxing guy first and then MMA guy, I don't mind it. Like in boxing, it was nothing for me to see Floyd, who's a 147-pound champion, jump up to 54 for one fight, beat the shit out of De La Hoya, come back. Or Pacquiao, when he was 35, jumped all the way up to 47. I think he skipped 140 entirely. You know, we see these guys moving seamlessly between divisions. And I get it. Those are like 7 pounds here, 5 pounds at times. Like if you're 135, like Tank moves up, beat the hell out of somebody at 140, come right back. The divisions are closer, but I think those make for interesting fights. And I think I kind of like MMA doing that more. I wish they would do that more outside of a title picture, where in boxing, sometimes you're not always going to fight the champion when you move up. You just be like, yo, like Max Holloway, perfect example. Next pay-per-view, he's doing that. Like, I'm going to just go fight Justin Gaethje. Up 10 pounds, I'm going to come back. BMF belt's not a real ass belt. But it's still like, yo, I'm going to do that, side quest, come right back. Cool. Like, it don't always got to be champion. You're like, I just got beef with that dude. Or I just want to test it. Hamzat's doing that shit in like 3 divisions. Hamzat's just like, yo, no title. I'm just going up here, be him, come back down to welterweight, be him, middleweight, cool. Can I do light heavy? Yeah, fuck it. Light heavy, beat this guy, come back. And he's a contender in multiple divisions. I wish we saw more of that in the UFC.
Yeah, I never really looked at it from that perspective. You could do fun fights if you had, people cross over and jump up divisions like that. But as far as O'Malley specifically, I just think it's a duck as far as looking at it,
No,
that's
got
got beef already, and it's like that's got to get cooked and taken out of the oven. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. You can't go in there with the Thriller jacket. He stole a man's Thriller jacket,
See,
man.
took the man's jacket.
Yeah, you got to settle that, bro.
Mike would never stand for that. Mike would have been like, what? You don't touch this leather jacket. How dare you? And then UFC 300 coming up in a couple of weeks. This is where me and Dre, we don't agree on this. So, EJ, I want to know your perspective. Underwhelming or nah for a UFC 300 card?
It's underwhelming. I agree with you on this.
We agree.
It's underwhelming. And no disrespect to Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill, tremendous fighters, but you got to have that pop. Like, where's Conor? I mean, we know Brock, his situation over there, WWE, but a Conor, like, I know GSP wasn't come out of retirement, but that's the name you get for 300 and John Jones' injury. I just think the UFC was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they weren't.
They had time. I would agree with you, but they had time. John got injured in November.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew he was out until at least June, maybe August. Conor, all right. That shit, Conor's supposed to fight 8 times already. So maybe you were waiting for Conor, but they ditched the entire USADA program because they said Conor needed to do 3 months. And they're like, fuck it, USADA, you got to go. Because they chose Conor over that and to still not have Conor. Okay. But then when did you book O'Malley for $299? Like, immediately pivot. before you put that out publicly, once you know you don't have Connor, if this kid's your next star, you got to put O'Malley there. Because like you said, he might lose his next fight and then you lose to Luster. It should have been O'Malley's here. He lives in Vegas. Easiest fight to throw on that card. He could have beat the shit out of Cheeto at the top of that card. It would have made me feel better. It would have felt like a star is at the top of that one. And honestly, could have moved Pereira, Jamal Hill back a month. Like that could have been 299. Anyone could have headlined 299. It's Miami. Could have found somebody. People love going to Miami. So it's one of those things where, yeah, 300 to me is underwhelming. I think the best fight on card is just engaging Max Holloway. Yeah. It's for the made up title
and
that
I don't
that The Rock created.
I don't even like that. I think Max Holloway is going to get waxed in that fight. Like he's a little bit too small, but like you said, that's the biggest fight on that card, and you can't main event it with a fake BMF belt, like you said. The Rock trotted out there.
The Rock's going to show up to this again, right? It's like a week after Mania, right? He has to come back.
He's on the board. He's
on the board.
He is. He's on the board of this too. You are 100% right. He's on the TKO board in general. Yep, he got to show back up for this one. But no, there's great fights under that card. And then pro wrestling wise, before we get you out of here, WrestleMania coming up, Rock being in it. What match are you looking forward to most from those announced already on the card? And even more so, does Cody have to finish the story?
I'm the opposite of a Cody crybaby. Like, I don't care if he finishes his story at this point. I mean, we're seeing the same promo from him every week. He's crying about his mom. I don't know. I'm not feeling him and Seth promo going into this. The Rock has been knocking it out the park, though. The Rock is cooking, no pun intended. But no, I feel like you could stretch it out more. I know they won't. This is like a Daniel Bryan type pivot at this point. I think they're just going to pull the trigger at WrestleMania. But I could see, I wouldn't be mad if they stretched it into maybe even next year's WrestleMania. But they're trying to have Roman break that Hogan record, right? That wouldn't be till like September.
Yeah, it'd be a while. I think fans now are kind of over it and they're just placed in a pickle. So, like, I don't think you're going to break that record. I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think we see anyone get close for a very long time. It's so hard to hold the title for that long. They had to create a whole nother title for Seth just to get him this far. And it's one of those things where the Cody storyline is so built in that I don't know if you can work your way out of that box again. It's time for Cody to start his reign. But I do think Roman versus Rock has the potential, especially because Rock's going to go off after Mania and film a movie, and the UFL starts up, and he's obviously going to hand out the BMF belt. He got so much shit to do after Mania. If he doesn't tear everything in his body trying to wrestle on night one, he has so much to do where people are going to kind of forget about the Roman Reigns storyline, and Roman Reigns disappears ever so often. So I think next Rumble, you could really ramp it up with The Rock coming back, and those two and their story. It's going to be one hell of a story going into next year, because that's something casual fans still want to see. My grandma loves Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he's crossed over in the mainstream at this point, Roman Reigns. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and it's time for The Rock to put him over that next level. Because if Roman's going to be gone, and that's fine, because I understand it's health related. Man beat cancer twice. You don't got to wrestle every fucking week if you beat cancer twice. I'm just glad to have you, my guy. Like, take 3 months off. But if you're going to take 3 months off, do a movie or something. Like, let's start going Hollywood your damn self.
Yeah, that story's built in for them to carry that over into next year's Mania, Rock and Roman. So you got that saved. But as far as the match that I'm most excited for, that's a good question. Because now that I think about it, like, there's not a match on there like, ooh, like, I gotta see that's gonna like cook like that. I know Gunther and Sammy, they're gonna do their thing, but of course the tag team match, I'm gonna be excited to see how The Rock looks in first time in 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But you don't have like I'm gonna be at Dynasty next month in St. Louis, and Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. That's like that's the fight. I'm like, oh, I gotta see that one. But as far as the Mania card goes, I mean, it's all gonna be good, but it's just not that one matchup there yet. I'm like, I got to see that. But, the storyline, it's storyline WWE. It's a storyline company.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like they're getting a little bit more in ring. And then same thing AEW wise, where I feel like they're getting a little bit more storyline. And I need that. Like, thank you. Like, yes, I know Osprey and Danielson is going to be a banger. That's cool. But the other shit they're doing, like, I like that Swerve didn't win yet. After I saw it, I really wanted Swerve to win. But that's just personal, and he beats me in Madden all the time. But I've started to beat him, so I needed him to win somewhere. So I was like, damn, I really just beat him by 20 points this last game. So I need this guy to, a little pick me
Oh
up, put
my
the belt
God,
on him.
he's putting all
Cole,
the
he
scores
knows.
out into the ether.
Cole,
That's
Cole, he
crazy.
knows he took this ass whooping.
That's
He drafted
wild.
Shadeur Sanders, and Shadeur is wildly erratic. He has no QB right now, so people are putting it on him. All the shit that, it took me 2 years to beat Swerve and Madden. I digress. So, yes, I wanted the man to be a champion, but I think the babyface turn and everything, it was done so well in the ring with Hangman, and I didn't know if Hangman could ever be a heel in that company again. And the turn was handled so well. I was like, all right, get some writers back here. Like, we're getting some stories and making me care. I need to see it throughout the card, but I think they're really leaning into that and doing really well. What was your thoughts on Sting's last match then, since we have you here, and how that all played out?
Man, best retirement scenario probably ever. I was in the building there in Greensboro.
Ooh,
It was electric in
show.
there. Got footage from it. Man, Sting's a legend, man. I went at Sting for Halloween like in 5th grade in '98 with the red and black. This was the Wolfpack Sting. So, man, hats off to Sting. What a legendary career, and it was electric in there. And not Sammy. Darby Allin's a maniac for taking that real.
Darby's insane. That bump. I don't even know what to classify that as. That's the most dangerous thing I've ever seen.
it's
Just straight up on a televised pay-per-view.
it's horrible that he announced that he's climbing Mount Everest. He takes that bump somehow, miraculously, he's fine. Shows up this week,
next match.
does a normal ass wrestling move, dive to the outside, no glass, no chairs, breaks his foot. And it's like, yeah, he broke his foot on Wednesday
in the match, I think,
against Jay White. Wow,
against Jay White.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it, so they were able to finish it. And
finished it.
That's crazy.
Still did crazy shit in that match, and I think he broke his middle toe. Yeah. But they won't let you climb Mount Everest with a broken foot out or a broken toe. So he has to put that off until next year. I was just like, that's crazy. You do the wildest shit during Sting's retirement match, break your foot on a dynamite. So it's
that argument towards the wrestling styles, right? That AEW's been criticized for before in the past, right? Yeah. Where it's like, again, it really is such a, I mean, that could have happened in any promotion, in any, that was just a wrestling move.
But people would argue you take a lot of bumps sooner or later. It's going to happen.
Yeah. But I think, for sure. And certainly like doing that style over and over and over again, you're going to beat your body. But that's just natural. I think it's just a case of like the argument's sake of,
you never know.
Oh, they're so dangerous there. And it's like, well, yeah, but like, he got through the glass segment and was able to wrestle 2 weeks later. You know? I should say, though, WWE has thrown people off roofs and killed them and then had them back next Monday. So
that's very true. Rey Mysterio lost an eye.
Rey Mysterio has also lost the entire career of Rey Mysterio.
Thrown off Titan Towers.
Titan Towers.
Poor Rey Mysterio, who is now
back. Put the stretcher and thrown against the pole like a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's been a troubling time for Rey Mysterio. Nah, man. EJ, thank you for jumping on with us. We'll be doing these every month, so can't wait to have you back. It would be really dope with AEW Double or Nothing, coming through to Vegas. If you're here, hey, hit us up. But during that build to that, to have you on, so we can really dive into AEW and all that shit. And I want to know what you thought of Dynasty, and maybe we just have you on for like a full little AEW segment.
I appreciate y'all having me. I love what y'all doing, and
I appreciate
work, fellas.
All right, everybody. Shout out to Andre. Shout out to EJ for coming through. Corner Club in the building. So much fun so far. Man, I was waiting to get this guy on the mic, though. It's been way too long. Brandon Evans in the building. Yo, when I tell you, I think Brandon's the first person ever to pull up on me and be like, yo, I listened to the podcast. Like just out and about. And I was like, what? And Brandon's been listening forever, always showing support. He is, man, our first live show. Brandon's there. Well, when we went to our show in Chicago, Brandon's there. My guy is everywhere. So much support. So I've been looking forward to this, man. For since you hit me up, I was like, yeah, because you DM me. That's how I know it's real. Brandon DM me. I was like, yo, drop this on the Patreon. He DM me like, yo, I'm gonna be on the show. I was like, yeah, your spot is good. Like where I don't even need to drop it on the Patreon. You know you already got a spot on this episode, man. It's been so good. You honestly, you're always in the mix, always showing support, not just for us, but honestly for the whole community of wrestling, man. Just for everybody. When you're out at events, you're always talking to everyone, always chopping it up. And take this time, I don't care. We got some extra time to give you your flowers. Is just like a really dope ass fan of wrestling and the culture in general. Because there's not like enough dope ass fans when you go. If anyone's seen Brandon out and about, um, there's the little shit that he does that goes unnoticed. Like he'll be at a show, the respect that he treats the female talent at the shows, and people take pictures and do signings and all this shit. When he goes and the way he meets them and chops it, it's just so organic and normal and appreciative. Every wrestler I've seen him take a photo with, they're always like, yo, you're so dope, you're so cool. Like there's a reason why he has all these photos and why he's at all these events, and because people see that genuine vibe that he bring out. So yo, I gotta just tell you, like really on the deepest, it's really dope to always see you around, and how long you've supported us means the world to both myself, Dre, all this shit. Like really, it really does.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate all that. Like, I'm like Andre as hell. Like, you can give me all the flowers. I'm just doing what's best for me. And also it's better for the community, or everybody else who don't have an opportunity like that. Or have dreams like that. I mean, hey, it's not a lot of times I don't meet a lot of wrestlers in person, but I always attend shows when I can too. And I still social the best way I can. But Kels, I thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that from my brother.
No, of course, man. Of course. It's one of those things where it's oftentimes people feel like the community is built by those who have the biggest platforms or who are the loudest, and that's cool. I'm not that level of things, but even the people with big podcast followings, and shout out to Black Wrestling Podcast, shout out to all the other dope podcasts who help move the culture forward.
Let's shout out all the women that's doing their podcast also. They are pushing it to the limit.
I was just having a dope back and forth with Lovely yesterday on Twitter. Like Lovely's a homie.
Lovely.
Yeah. She thinks Mike Tyson gonna win this fight.
I hope she hit it with a bucko.
No, we ain't get there. I was like, listen, man. No, Lovely's the homie. I love all the women.
Hey, I love her too.
In this space, pushing stuff forward and making sure their voices are heard and all that. And that's great. But it's people, and Kaz is the homie. I love what Wrestle Rap was and what that did in the early stages of help building this community and giving people a voice. Emilio, everybody from Wrestle Rap. Who's helped years ago build this. The Masked Man, who Kaz is doing stuff with now, and that's dope. But even more for a hip hop side, like Kaz, Emilio, Wale. Wale is dope. Wale is the homie. I love Wale Mania every year. Obviously, we go a lot.
Speaking of Wale Mania, how you feel this lineup is creating right now?
I seen Kaz post the venue. The venue is dope, but it looks small. It's smaller than LA. And
but look what he's.
The lineup is great.
The lineup is looking good.
The lineup is great, but it was different, right? Because last year in LA, and Cole was everywhere. But last year in LA, there were spots where it kind of duck off. So I had to talking to different people. Mech was DJing, so shout out to Mecca.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, Mech, what up? I didn't see Mech in 2 years. All right, let's go this way. Chopped it up with him. He was like, man, I don't got a ticket to Mania. Like, what? Mecca, you're coming with. We brought a Mania. You had like little side conversations where you could that backstage area before you got onto the
Yes.
stage. That shit was a party the whole time. Posing 5 different photos
That was
just from
crazy.
standing in the hallway.
It was just
And then
just being in the right place at the right time. It
that's
was
it. You
insane.
can
I
go.
hear you, Cole.
Oh
They
my
had the
God.
upstairs area, which was like different
Yeah.
above the balcony where people can go and chill. And a lot of wrestlers came up there, and a lot of podcast people and everything we talked to, they were
Nice.
up there. So there was like 3 separate areas where you could kind of get away and have like good convo. This venue, the lineup is packed. You can't talk to nobody. It's like everyone is in the same space. So
Yes.
it's going to be interesting, especially getting people in and out. But I love that the date has changed. I feel like more WWE talent could come out, more NXT talent could come through. It's less of a conflict of
Tribalism.
interest.
The tribalism, like, shut down the tribalism. That's the problem is right now in social media. It's time to shut it down.
Fam, the wrestlers like each other.
Yes.
Sorry to break
breaking news.
Swerve yesterday ran into Carmelo at the gym, posted a picture, him and Melo chopping it up. Like, Joe still has friends in WWE, except for the people who put his ass in the pawn show. Everybody else, Joe still likes over there. Like Cody talks to so many people still from AEW, vice versa. Like, they really, really like each other and get along. Fans should do the same. So I look forward to that aspect. The lineup is so deep and bigger than ever before because the time slot allows for it. And everyone's going to be there together. It's going to be great.
Hey, don't mind. My daughter's trying to be in the spotlight.
Listen, she could come through. She's really the star of this.
She likes wrestling sometimes. She got her own attention span. You might see her in the background sometimes, like you see her right now.
Hey,
say hi.
Eating pizza. Hi. Oh, look at that. She loves the camera. Listen, if you want to be a WWE superstar, I got some people who know some people.
She's trying to talk. She's trying to talk.
Yep.
She got to spotlight with daddy.
Ready.
Listen, we can send it down to Nightmare Factory. We get it going. Future champ.
I'm surprised that The Rock didn't say anything about Cody's family or anything when it comes to that.
Yeah. Listen, man. So one thing I wanted to touch on is that AEW tribalism, and
yes, let's get to that. Let's get to this.
I've seen you at more AEW shows than WWE, and you enjoy both. You enjoy wrestling as a fan. What would it take for more people to have that mentality? Because right now people are like, yo, end tribalism or why above, but there's not many solutions.
I'm going to say this. Only way to end tribalism is people need to pay attention what's going on with wrestling, no matter what promotion it is. Like, yes, I've been attentive to AEW. And also I'll go to WWE shows. And also I'm going to a New Japan show in April. So it's like, I love wrestling. I've been loving wrestling since 1993. And I'm going to be 40 years old. And I still love wrestling to this day. Hold up. Let me do it this way. To this day, I love wrestling. And if I'm not the one going to end tribalism, nobody is going to end tribalism because everybody got their own thoughts. It's okay. You have your own opinions, but just love wrestling. Just love wrestling. Just look what GCW is doing.
Yep.
Look what they're doing. They got Shayna Baszler.
Yep. Under contract. Under contract from WWE. She's like, I gotta be a part of this.
So what that says?
Yep.
What that says? There's no tribalism outside of social media. It's
facts.
It's some people that don't live out their experiences. Like, I'm out here being a family man and also enjoying wrestling.
Yep. No, that's the best point I've heard. Because really, when we go to WrestleMania weekends, same people who are at Mania are at the GCW shows.
I wish I go to WrestleMania this year. I wish.
Yeah, me too. I got to work. I can't go.
Hey, I'm a busy man over here, but
Yeah.
hey, I still enjoy wrestling.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you go and you're in the environment, if we go to a big
Mm-hmm.
AEW weekend or something like that, GCW shows are packed with those
Oh,
same people.
oh,
If you go the New Japan show WrestleMania weekend, it's
yes.
going to have some of those same fans that are going Saturday and Sunday night to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
The tribalism in person ain't the same
Yeah.
because
No, it's not.
we
It's not. It's
Cole,
definitely
how
not.
many shows did we go to last year in LA? Little indie shows. All the indie shows when people had the Roman Reigns t-shirts on. They had the Cody t-shirts. They had all these things. They had the CM Punk t-shirts because he was in AEW, but they were watching all these other people. They were watching Vikingo
Yeah.
and going crazy, but they had WWE merch.
Yeah,
Like
it was. I mean, we did the whole trek on Friday from different promotion to different
everything.
promotion, right? And it was like we are at the Ring of Honor show,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden we're going to the Ukrainian Center, and there's GCW, and we were following
Yeah.
Vikingo around the entire
Yeah.
day because he was
Yeah.
at Ring of Honor, and then he was just, and then immediately we walk in the door, and it's him and Speedball. And then you have New Japan there with Impact. It's like everybody's there on a WrestleMania weekend. And guess what? All the same fans that end up at WrestleMania are all at those shows. They make it, it's a whole
Yep,
circuit. You know,
that is true.
it's everyone makes it an entire weekend out of it because everyone wants to see all the good stuff. They want to hit up Joey Janela Spring Break. They want to hit up
Oh
Bloodsport.
yes. Oh
They want to
yes.
hit up Foreign Culture. They want to hit up Wale Mania. They want to hit up WrestleMania, right? It's just, and so all those weekends, it's for everyone to go enjoy a little
Yeah.
bit of everything, and that's really the best parts.
No, I
Yeah,
think
that is true.
you got it, Brandon. It's the people who don't spend their real money. It's the people who don't spend their real time. It's the people who don't love pro wrestling who are speaking
Yes.
and are tribalists online and on social media. Because the real people who fly to these cities, who take time away from their families or bring their families, who make this an event and actually put money into it, they love it
Mhm.
all and they'll watch it all.
Yes. And then it just make me sick. It made me sick to where I see people talking about Bianca Belair and Mercedes Monet. You know, it's
Yeah.
Monet, but I call her
Yeah.
Monet. I'm just tired of this internet wrestling community. I'm tired of it. Like, y'all don't understand how it feels to be a wrestling fan for all these years, especially for the ones that's coming up.
Yep.
Like, it's totally unfair. Very totally unfair.
It's weird because now that I think about it, that's kind of gatekeeping, right? Like
Yes.
the
Gatekeeping.
the online fans are like, nah, well, this is still our thing. We want it to stay like this. I want either I'm a purist or I want just WWE. The people who get out there and watch this, they're like, oh, like I know WWE fans who've gone with us, and I here in Vegas taking some people at first death match ever
Mm.
at GCW. And at the end of that shit, they're chanting MDK like they know what's up. Like it's just like yo, murder, death, kill the whole time. And then Moxley shows up, and they're like, "Oh my god, he used to be Ambrose and W." And now you like, but they loved it. They love those different experiences when they get out there
Yes.
and when they experience it. So yeah, it's the people online gatekeeping, and unfortunately, they keep people away from wanting to see everything. Because
Yes.
if you see it in person, you'll love it.
And of course, not giving people an experience of what it's like being there, like seeing the actions, seeing reaction, or having a reaction yourself that you want to do, but you can't do it at home.
Yep.
That is the problem. That is really the problem with its tribalism wrestling. Like, oh, you should be watching WWE. No, you should watch AEW. Who cares?
Yes.
Totally. And it's people that are online, and they're using it as their angle to make themselves feel like it's like I'm
superior, like they
self-importance.
superior.
Exactly. And then everybody can be a critic, and it's like, oh, everyone gets to hear my opinion on this thing. And at the end of the day, of course, there's going to be things that happen in wrestling, or really any kind of art form, that we go, oh, I like this, and oh, maybe this is not for me. but it doesn't have to be a competition. And that's what social
No,
media ends up making it
no.
be, is that it ends up being this weird competition where it's not just like I have this opinion on this thing. It's I have this opinion on this thing and it's the only correct one. And if you
Yeah.
don't subscribe to that, then I don't want to be talking with you, right? And it's like it's so dividing when like at the end of the day, with WrestleMania in town, you're getting
Yep.
a completely different product from going to an
Mm-hmm.
indie show. And it's amazing to see how different it can be. At a WrestleMania show, you're not going to watch an invisible man fight his invisible brother. You're not going to see that.
No, you're
No.
not. You're
And
not.
then
It's a product.
and
I
guess
mean,
what?
it
You
is a
might miss
product, but
and you might miss
hey,
that. And it's the greatest thing you're gonna see all weekend, you know, like and you can't experience that, right?
I mean, hey, who knows? Hey, some indie show will probably do a Visible Man versus a Visible Man, and guess what? Fans gonna be like, "Oh, yeah!"
The
It's gonna be
greatest
a
thing.
reaction in every restaurant show you go to.
Yeah,
It
I
don't
think
matter.
I think
Exactly.
that's the best thing, and that's why these wrestlers are so great, right? Like, I'm not a country music fan, but I go to a country music concert, I might be like, "Yo, this is fucking dope," because everyone's like losing their shit, and then like the ambiance, and you'd be like, "Yo, this person's a performer." I took my
Yeah.
daughter to Billie Eilish. I don't care about Billie
Oh,
Eilish. Billie Eilish like
really?
18, and I was like, "Okay, whatever." And I watched the Billie Eilish show, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
she pretty damn good. Like, you know what? Like, this is a good show. The kids, like everyone in the crowd loved it. You kind of just get swept up. And that's like going to a pro wrestling show. Like, I challenge anyone, be like, okay, you really love WWE? That's fine. Let me take you to
Right.
GCW. And when Effie comes out to like his entrance and everyone going crazy, tell me
Yes.
that you don't love seeing this. Like,
It's gonna be.
like
It's gonna
once
be. It's gonna
Elton
be.
John hits, if you haven't listened to Elton John in a pro wrestling venue, when Effie coming out in a pair of pantyhose and pink tights, you haven't lived as
You
a
haven't
pro
lived.
wrestling fan.
Yes. Yes.
So
I mean,
it's one of those
you
things
can't.
like you can't duplicate that.
It's like this. There's moments. No matter where you're gonna be at, it don't matter what you enjoy. Like we all love wrestling.
Yep.
We all love wrestling. We enjoy wrestling, no matter what the place is at. It could be WWE, AEW, New Japan. Could be GCW. Could be Warrior Wrestling. That's the hometown wrestling promotion in Indies. Like, don't matter. We just love wrestling.
Yep.
We love wrestling. We love entertainment, and actually, enjoy, be ourselves.
That's it. Not enough people enjoy it. So that's 100%. To switch gears, because I want to ask you about this. What do you think? Because that enjoyment's such a big part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving fans what they want and send them home happy.
Yes.
With TKO now, we're in the TKO era of WWE. And I personally like that Trips is in charge of booking. And I think that's great and fine and dandy. But we've seen with The Rock coming in, people really point at like, yo, this is a TKO move. Trips, make it work. I feel like that's a dangerous precedent to set when a boardroom full of people are making decisions. Because even Vince McMahon could shift shit when Vince was doing it because he owned everything. So you can do a Daniel Bryan WrestleMania if you needed to and kind of change direction. When a boardroom is making it, they're like, here's The Rock, make it work. End of discussion. That's a tough precedent to set.
Can I put my tin hat on? Sort of
Of course.
a method tin hat
Encourage.
on.
Let's do it.
I don't think nobody else, because I've been not sharing his thoughts about this whole board member Rock and Triple H and TTO. So I really think The Rock is taking advantage of his seat, where he said this before even all this happened. He said the seat at the table, which he's a board member now at TKO. Now he's doing whatever he wants. At the same time, Triple H is not liking it at all. He's not feeling it. So it goes back to the time where The Rock and Triple H had a little rival back then when they was wrestlers.
Yep.
So it could be a little bit of a hateness, jealousy going on backstage. We don't know what's going on backstage, but I'm just saying The Rock is taking his position too far as a TKO member.
Do you ever think it comes to the point, because people say they can see this, and CM Punk getting hurt was like the first little inkling of this, right?
Where that was a blow. That was a blow.
Where there's been reports, and pretty openly about it, where The Rock said, yo, I'll come in and I'll save WrestleMania because Punk is injured. As though everything Triple H built wasn't enough.
See?
I no Brock Lesnar, no CM Punk. I will save WrestleMania. Granted, Trips made it work. That's fine. Rock's not going to need to do so right now.
Before the announcement of The Rock being a TKO board member, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was leading to something where we think like, yeah, we're going to get Cody and Roman Reigns. Now we're going to get Seth versus CM Punk.
Yep.
At first, like booking wise, was getting good for WrestleMania. But when CM Punk got hurt, who steps on the plate? As soon as they got on board, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Do you think in 10 years, who's running the company? Day to day.
In 10 years?
10 years. It's hard because if we ask this any other point in professional wrestling history, it's Vincent K. McMahon.
Like it was one answer only.
That was it. It was the easiest question ever. Now it's not so easy, right? Like Triple H, and you mentioned it. It's not that he can't do it. It's how tough is it? How many people do you have to answer to? On the day-to-day, is this shit worth it anymore? Is it The Rock saying, I'm tired of having flops in Hollywood, and maybe I'm not the biggest action star in the world anymore. What do I do every day now? Well, I love pro wrestling.
Wait. You forgot one thing, Kels. You forgot one thing with Dwayne Johnson. He got fired from Universal. So I got fired from my job. What else can I do now?
It feels like if he wants to, he can be like, yo, I'm here full time. And the board members may see it as thank you for helping us, big Hollywood star. And I'm not sure the help is needed. But how do you tell someone that successful that you don't need them? And now, especially if they're a board member, right? Like Triple H has no leverage in this. So in 10 years, it's tough.
And Triple H is being in his business. Like he could have been fired after that whole non-kayfabe situation with him and Shawn Michaels. They could have been fired, but it didn't happen. All Triple H took was a back burning, but it made him better. So that's what Triple H is going to do. He's going to fight. He's going to fight until he's going to reach to this point.
It would be so interesting because you mentioned that, and now Sean's running NXT, Trips is running main roster, and it's just like, you know, the click won out in the long run.
The ones that supposed to be the degenerates. Remember they supposed to be degenerates.
They were all
They finally took over what they say they was going to do.
It came full circle.
They're doing their job.
No,
they have lived long enough to see themselves become the villains.
Yes.
Yes. No, I love it. Sean lost his hair. That breaks my heart. But outside of that, like it's all right.
Man's having a great time booking the hits, booking himself again. He's just having a great time. Good for me.
I don't know. Listen, WWE may never again sign a top tier talent. They may never go and get a Will Ospreay again, Okada. Because Sean, what he's bringing into that PC,
they're going back to the old ways. They're going to find some independent talent.
Yep.
or
independent talent or freak
or for
athletes.
women wise, they're gonna look for eye candy.
Yeah,
That
but
got some talent.
they can wrestle, and
Yes.
everyone down there. I
Yeah.
forgot what's old boy's name. Who's the North American champion now?
Obafemi.
Obafemi. Oh my!
Obafemi.
Where'd you find this
That
guy
dude's
at?
a monster.
What?
Oof.
Yo, they may never have to go outside the company and sign anyone
No.
again because they are
No,
churning
that's
it up.
natural. That guy's natural.
You're going to find 20-year-old people from like Alabama, like
Mhm.
football and
Mhm.
Tennessee gymnastics and track
Mhm.
and all this. And you're going
Yes.
to find the best athletes in the world. And then you're going to find 23-year-old independent wrestlers,
Oh
25,
my
like
God.
Carmelo Hayes, and you're just going to mix them together. So you end up with a Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes and be like, yeah, these guys are the future.
I know I know that like this will be the next coming year where like we finally
Mhm.
have the college football game back in store shelves. But guess what? Tristan's been playing
What?
that game and doing the recruiting the whole time because he's
That's
been getting blue chips. That's all he's been doing. He's
Shawn
like
Michaels.
five-star recruit. Here you go, Sean. Five-star
Just
recruit. Here you go.
crushing it,
Shawn Michaels.
crushing it down there in the
Yes,
performance center.
he is. Because
No,
even J.F. Parker's getting attention. And Sean did like what, 3 matches?
3 matches, blew up.
Just
She was
3
on World
matches.
Star.
Star.
Already getting attention. She already getting attention.
They gave her a highlight package on World Star and the
Mm.
Shade Room. A highlight package. Look, she got 3 matches. Didn't matter. It was all
And she-
entrance.
No, she not even in a storyline with
No,
Roxanne
nothing.
Perez
I don't know. She can land a
Or-
drop kick.
Vicari. I mean,
It doesn't even matter. She's
they
a
know
star.
stars. They know stars. It
Star.
just takes time.
That's all it is. They got nothing but time.
They got nothing but time.
All right. Before we let you get out of here, last
Oh no.
question.
We're still going. We can still go.
Last question though. But we can take our time. But last question I really got for you, and I wanted to get your opinion on it, is there's so much talk about WWE and their expansion, AEW, how they're going to expand. And I personally think both companies are fine. Like they're at the point now where they're going to be rocking. They have enough money. They can do what they're going to do. And I know you, again, watch so much wrestling, you go to so many shows. And Cole, too, like just your opinions on, do the indies survive the next 5 to 10 years? With TKO money, with AEW possibly getting HBO money on a new deal, and that weird ass HBO, ESPN platform or whatever, may end up being their home. That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
They already signed. Okada was on the market for this much. Gone. Mercedes, gone. And they're not stopping signing people. WWE now, next year, probably puts in more money. It's like watching the Dodgers in baseball. Like, it's just like Dodgers, Yankees. Like, there's these teams that are just snatching everyone up. Do the indies survive this wave? Because honestly, the indies aren't what they were 5 years ago. There's not the Keith Lees, the Ricochets, the Walters, all these people who were flooding the indies. And before then, the Sami Zayns, the Kevin Owens, or El Generico, who's taking care of children in orphanage. But the Young Bucks, all this, there's no Young Bucks on the indies anymore.
No.
Top Flight is 20, 21 years old and signed to AEW.
Yeah.
They spent a year on the indies before AEW gave them a contract to just wrestle on Collision. Get good, because we might need you in 4 years. And TNA too. I put TNA in the AEW, WWE bracket where they'll keep signing young talent. The ones under that, are there going to be indies or everything just going to be 3 major indies as we know it? Will we be able to go to Mania weekend and have other little shows, or will it just be ROH and New Japan and it? Cole, you're in Austin. It reminds me of South by Southwest. I'm not sure if they're just going to gobble it up. South by is never going to be what it was again.
Right.
I'm not sure if the indies end up being the same way.
I could say this. Being from Chicago, that's supposed to be number 3 on indie wrestling.
Yep.
Since we started ROH and all the indie wrestling companies over here, I would say it's definitely going down, depending on the talent, because the talent now, they're bound to be going to AEW, WWE, or even TNA, which now that same talent could still be booked for some indie shows.
Mm.
So that's the
But
way
they're
it
not
looks like.
indie talent. They're still main talent allowed to
Mhm.
work other places, right? Because WWE signed Rhea Ripley at 17. They're like, yo, why would we let you learn on the indies for 6 years when we can just have you in the PC for those same 6 and let you grow within here and we can control it? Or AEW will be like, yo, we'll sign you at 19, 20. What's the chick? Billy that they signed?
Billy Kay,
Billy Starks.
Billy
Billy,
Starks.
Billy Starks.
Billy Starks like 18,
Yeah.
19.
Same thing with Nick Wayne.
Nick Wayne,
Yeah, Nick
18,
Wayne.
and they're just like, yo, those people would be on the indies till 25 and then sign with an AEW. Now they're like, no, we're going to sign you now and we'll let you go and wrestle here and there, but you're our talent. We're doing like I feel like it's that South by Southwest corporate mentality where
Yeah.
they're just like, we see that and it's great and it worked, but we want to bottle that and
Yeah.
crush that whole mentality. So that's what worries me going forward in pro wrestling is that we're not going to have those indies that
We're not gonna find that special indies talent that's
no,
natural. Like,
yeah, it's like hip hop, right? It's just like
Mhm.
if everyone had a Def Jam contract coming out the gate, it's just like, but what's cool is being like, nah, I heard this person's mixtape, or I saw them on
Mhm.
SoundCloud. Like I've
Mhm.
known them before they signed, and I've been a fan through every state, and that's what dope is. What makes you invested. Like I can say,
Right.
like I like Ricochet since he was Prince Puma. Like
Oh,
I like Ricochet when he was in Eva. Like I like all this stuff. I've seen Ricochet in the smallest of venues, and then now I've grown, so I root for him.
oh, oh,
There's
oh, oh. Or like me when it comes to wrestling, like Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith.
yo,
I remember he was just straight indies.
that's it. And
Now
then
Olympia.
when he showed up, everyone was like, yeah, everyone popped because they
You're right.
want to
Everybody's
see
like,
him win.
I like this guy. Like, wait, I've been on this guy. I've been on this guy.
Eddie
But guess what? I
Kingston
love it.
is
I love it. I love the respect he getting now.
yeah, but Eddie Kingston is that to the umpteenth degree.
Mhm.
Like, yo, people want to see him win the title because they know everything Eddie Kingston has been through. We're not
Yes.
going to get those stories.
No.
Because people
They're
are
not.
signed at 1920 and just stashed until they become stars.
All right. And I think that's what the problem is with the tribalism. Then there's too many old school gatekeepers that not teaching some people that's into wrestling.
Yeah.
That's why wrestling is an impact right now. It don't matter. It don't matter if you're WWE or AEW. Look what ESPN something like that broadcast. Look what all these internet spots we all know, World Star.
Yep.
It's like it's not tribalism no more.
Yep.
It's all about wrestling. It's all about presentation, the talent that's going on right now.
That
And
Darby Allin clip was everywhere.
oh my God, Darby Allin, it has not been talked about. Like we only saw the news about his broken foot.
Yeah. You know where that news broke? TMZ.
Exactly.
Like what?
Exactly. So what's the problem? What is the problem here?
But
and the man supposed to go to Mount Everest, now it's got pushed back.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, man, I want to have that same feeling carry on. It's just
It's like enjoy wrestling, enjoy the ambiance. Like
I just hope the indies stay through it, man. I don't want to sacrifice the indies for it.
I think it's gonna undergo kind of an evolution stage right now. We're kind of at the beginnings of that because I think right now it is in a fragile spot and it's going to need some caretaking. And I think that comes with a promotion like AEW being willing to go, okay, like you guys should do these indie events. You guys and girls should do these different indie events because I still think there is always like a nature of, I think almost like before it gets to tribalism, there is this point of, oh, like I've been riding and dying with this person since the beginning, right? Since like, and there's still that quality that is so much fun about discoverability that
Yeah.
that is a platform where indie wrestling still strives, where
Yeah.
you're going to be able to go like, yeah, I've been following, Effie and Alley Catch the whole time and like seeing their journey through all this, right? Like that's a very specific case, but that is what indie wrestling kind of provides, is a scope onto these people where you can kind of follow them from the ground up. And then when they do make it to an AEW, WWE, you can be like, man, I saw them make it. That's amazing. And I do
Yeah.
think that there is going to need to be some caretaking. And I think it's a little in the United States, it's going to be, I
Mm.
think, the toughest because AEW and WWE obviously primarily operate here. But I think if you
Yeah.
go international, that's where you're still going to be running into quote unquote indie wrestling.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh
I
yes.
think of right before Osprey came over to AEW
Yeah.
full
He
time.
did.
He's over there putting on a banger with Oku, and you're bringing discoverability to a guy like Michael Oku
Yeah.
that people aren't going to normally see because they're like, well, he's not here, he's not touring here, he's in the UK. But you see him put on a banger with Will Ospreay, and you go like, okay, so
Yeah.
like there is still there, they will continue to evolve and live with a
And-
level of caretaking that comes alongside
Yeah,
this, right?
that-
Where
that- that is the main
AEW and
point.
WWE is willing to go like, hey, we understand you're part of the ecosystem. We need your help in this too to grow wrestling. And I mean, hey, WWE is sending Shayna Baszler to Bloodsport. That's a step,
Hey,
and that's the
hey.
stuff that's going to need to happen.
Hey,
we'll
and guess
see.
what? That's gonna create ticket sales for
100%.
TCW for the most.
100%.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. But yeah, I mean, I fully expect to see an Oku his signed AEW graphic in like the next week or two. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, send them. It'll be great. It'll build up a talent. And then Progress in the UK is like, hell yeah, we got this match. And then Oku will be like, well, about that. Like, it's like AEW gave me this
But
contract.
at least you learn where he came from, right? And then
Yeah.
next time that someone comes through that, they go like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's where he came
That's
from,"
what
or
came-
like even to a degree of just on a basic level of New Japan, right?
Yeah.
Of how it's people are discovering, oh well, like I know Kenny Omega came from New Japan, and now like Okada's coming from there. Well, how does that? Okay, well I know New Japan's got shit going, like they're rolling, right?
Yeah.
Like okay, let's learn more about Okada. Let's learn more about what Osprey is doing over there.
100%.
So
And you know what?
it is a coexistence.
And that's what John Moxley, Eddie Kingston is doing right now.
Yeah.
Like they continue New Japan's pretty much legacy in the United States. Like
New
you
Japan,
guys
All
need to
Japan.
watch.
Yeah.
You guys gotta watch New Japan.
Yep.
Like no matter what the show is gonna be at, like pay attention to them.
Facts. I started watching old All Japan wrestling joints because Eddie Kingston wore like the singlet had the 3 belts, and I'd always like seen it, and I was just like, yo, I gotta watch some of these matches. And like Masawa and all them, like I just had to go back and like check out the catalog, and all that shit's on YouTube.
And I'm gonna say this, Kels, if it wasn't for you and Andreas talk about New Japan so much when I first listened to you guys, I would not be a New Japan fan at all.
That I appreciate.
I gotta watch New Japan. You guys talked about it like early ages on the episodes. I'm like,
man.
yeah, I gotta watch
And
it.
that's part of
Like,
the discoverability
really?
right there, right? It's
Yeah.
all grassroots, right? It's just like
Yes.
hearing someone else talk about it and then going like, well, I got to check that out.
And I told Trey that in our episode a couple weeks ago. I was like, yo, the tribalism and everything. And I think we were talking about like O'Shea Jackson in his comments. And I was like, yo, that's the biggest thing is no, people don't have to spoon feed you something, right? Like the AEW doesn't have to spoon feed you who every person is. But as fans, gotta stop gatekeeping, because the reason I got into New Japan, and I talked about it early on the show, and why me and Dre talk about it, is because I didn't know about Japan, and Dre was like, watch this, and that. Like, and I didn't know about ROH. And I was like, Sami Zayn doesn't do it for me. He was like, but you got to watch him when he was at El Generico. And I found out Kevin Steen and all this. And I watched the entire catalog. And I was like, oh shit, CM Punk. Oh, Samoa Joe. And I found all their ROH stuff. And okay, cool. And it's because someone was like, okay, not just, oh, you're dumb, you don't know about this. Or how could you not know what they did before this? It's, yo, you like this person? Here, YouTube, this, and that. Take a look at this promotion. This is where they came from. This is what they're doing. Super dope. And as a community, that's how you make new wrestling fans. That's how you get people to not be tribalist. Not only, Oh, you don't like that? Well, you suck because you're a tribe. No, yo, how
No.
about you take a look at this? Give
Like,
examples.
hey, watch this match and dig in. Just
Yep.
dig in, and be like, okay, well, I understand why you love this. Of course, it's all about spreading information. Just
Yep.
spreading out the love. Like
Encourage, not discourage.
I ain't had anybody encourage me to watch wrestling. Like all it took was my big brother just watching wrestling with Ultimate Warrior back in '93. All I saw was WWF superstars. Seeing this guy just shaking ropes. Like who this guy's just shaking ropes and he just going wild in the ring. That made me interested. And I didn't ask.
No.
I didn't spoil myself. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yep. But it comes from watching, your big brother having on all this. Like, everything we do is that. Like that cosign is huge. Or
Yes.
a lot of stuff is like, yo, the first match you watch is huge. Okay, so hey, who's Will Ospreay? They don't tell me enough about him. Then your friend is just like, hey, watch Ospreay versus watch Ospreay versus, and then you get like 3 matches and you're like, oh my God, all 3 of those matches are incredible. Now I like Will Ospreay.
Yes.
But if someone's like, yo, just Google it. Lord knows what the hell, what am I Googling? Like what match is going to come out? How do I know if this was a random match?
You got to share. You got to share. Like,
So-
hey, look, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. Boom.
Yep.
Here you go. Or we go Will Ospreay, his very first match in the indie scenes. Boom. Here you go. Watch.
That's
And
it.
then if you love
Ospreay,
it,
Naito,
just-
give me all that. Ospreay
Right.
Ricochet, if you're personally asking me.
There you go.
for
There you
for
go.
Classic.
flippiness.
I was
Classic.
waiting for when you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, if I had to give the recommendation. But yeah, it's one of those things where, it, in terms of not being gatekeepers, man, the sport is growing so much. Pro wrestling is growing so big. It is
Yes.
becoming mainstream again. It is cool. And we've loved it
Yes.
when it wasn't mainstream in this little lull. And that's fine. But now that it's cool, let's act like the people who know what the hell's going on and why it's cool.
Keep it
and
cool.
share. That's it. And let's share with those people coming in, because that's how it stays cool.
Because actually, we're the generation now to keep it cool.
Yep.
Or at least keep it up. We're the generation now.
That's it.
Like-
And we gotta make it what it's going to be.
Yes. And keep it growing.
Yep. So
For the next generation, because the next generation, they doing the same thing the best they can, but they trying.
yeah,
But we gotta keep it up.
That's it. So we on it, man. I appreciate you, Brandon, for
Yes.
stopping by and taking this time out. I really, really do. We're gonna do this every month, so people are gonna be tired of being on here, but I don't give a damn. So we're gonna keep having you on it and chopping it up, as we
Of
go
course,
through
of
the
course.
summer and everything, and hitting it up. I appreciate you. This comes out on Tuesday, so you'll be able to share it, send it everywhere. Video will be on Patreon.
Of course. And
All
of course,
right,
I gotta
actually,
share
Monday.
this. Livia, say bye.
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 Hey.
All right, guys.
All right, we
Appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Later.
Peace.
Take it easy.
All right, everybody, man. What an incredible episode, the
Yes, it
Corner
was.
and Friends
was.
podcast. We appreciate everyone. For myself, for producer Cole, Bay, all 3 of our guest Corner Club members. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon if you haven't already. Original content every single week on the Patreon. So that is super fun. We're always chopping it up, always having fun dialogues there. Shout out to Old Man once again, doing big things. Him, Biggie, Johnny, making their dreams come true and doing things that are much needed. So he's not here, but for a damn good reason. Me and Cole hold it down when he isn't. We appreciate you all as we're getting up towards Mania and all this other craziness. UFC 300, boxing has Ryan Garcia maybe versus Devin Haney.
Maybe.
There's a ton of stuff. So tons of combat still to come. We appreciate you all. Till next time, we're out.